Welcome to Motivate. So today I am joined by our nutritionist and expert Leonora to discuss a topic that we get asked about all of the time. And so what we're going to delve into today is that period when the baby arrives and we are officially in the post-natal recovery period. So a bit of an overwhelming time for most mums, very different to prenatal and just a little bit confusing, I guess. So suddenly you're breastfeeding and you're focused on recovery. And obviously we know nutrition is going to play a massive part in helping us to feel better. So I'm hoping you're going to help us navigate this period. And I'm coming up close to that now. So I'm just a couple of months away from that. So I think what would be really helpful to start with is the new responsibility that we have as mothers. Whether or not you try breastfeeding or even if you just do it for a week, I think it's so helpful to know what can we do nutrition-wise that is going to help us navigate that whole period of breastfeeding. So is there anything that can actually generate a milk supply and help you sustain that milk supply?
Yes.
There is. Okay.
There is.
Okay.
So I always have a caveat with, like we spoke about, I think it was second trimester with the link emotions to food.
Yes.
It's the same thing postnatally.
Okay.
So if we're stressed or we're looking at depression, for example, all of these things have an impact on how our body responds to, milk supply and pregnancy and postnatal, etc. So making sure that we are taking care of ourselves, making sure that we've got a support system, is super important to making sure that we've taken care of the mental and the emotional well-being needs that we have for ourselves as human beings first, before we look at our responsibilities as a mom, right? Yeah. So that's super important. Now we're looking at breast milk supply. So we need to have an extra 500 calories in per day, so that we can produce. That's the amount that baby will consume. So we need to be taking that extra in. So hydration is super important. Water and coconut water, for example, are key in helping to stimulate breast milk supply. You've got things like fenugreek, fennel, garlic, ginger. Really important, dark green leafy vegetables, vegetable juices are really important. Oats and barley all help with stimulating breast milk supply. Okay. So I think that when you go and you research what foods stimulate breast milk supply, carrots, beets, for example, it's just the healthy stuff.
Always come back to the healthy list.
It's the healthy stuff. So we overcomplicate
it.
If we're eating enough, and if you look at like garlic and carrots and beets, all the vitamins, all the nutrients, all the prebiotics, they're all in there, and they help with breast milk supply. So if you're just making sure that you're getting as much of the good, fresh, organic, raw, whole grain produce, whole foods produce in, you don't have to worry about anything. Plus, stay hydrated.
Basically, the breast milk will start to come. And it doesn't always come immediately, does it? And that's where women panic, can they, sometimes? I mean, I felt so stressed the first time around.
Stress,
and that I think impacted them. And actually what you said about hydration, because you're so busy and you just forget to drink water.
So always have a glass of water by you where you're breastfeeding. So if you've got like a particular, like I used to breastfeed Viv everywhere. She's always there.
I see. So way, you have to.
So always have, I think it's really great to have like, so in the morning when you wake up, or if you've got somebody to help you prepare, have like glass jugs of fresh water, always fresh filtered water, not tap or bottles, always fresh filtered. Lemon slices, lime slices, ginger, fresh raw ginger root slices in there, pineapple slices.
Adding that flavour, just keeping it
mint, exactly.
Interesting.
And then you're more likely to drink. If it's like plain water, you're just like, don't really feel like it.
Don't need it. Not important. Actually, it's so important.
Pamper your water. And then you're just indulging yourself. And so you're getting all the vitamins in there as well. And it's passing on to the baby through the breast milk. So like win-win. So hydration is super important. Yeah.
Fantastic. So that I think is that list I think is so critical just to have, and if you're just naturally eating that in your diet, you're right, you're hitting everything so naturally. Foods to avoid. Now this I got confused about as well.
Foods to avoid, it's the same thing. So like we were talking about in the first trimester, if you're not going to physically hand that food to your baby, then you shouldn't be eating it, because what you're consuming goes through to the breast milk. So again, being cognizant of things like caffeine, of alcohol. You don't want to do that. And also what's really interesting as well is that, so this is a really interesting thing. So when you eat a food, your baby develops that like that. They tend to like that food. So if you tend to have like a lot of like sweet stuff in pregnancy, the baby's going to develop a sweet tooth potentially, right?
Okay.
Right. So people who have a lot of spicy foods will find that their children don't really have an aversion to spicy food. So it's the same thing with the breast milk. What you're eating, your baby develops a likeliness for. So my way of doing it is I had a wicked craving for biscuits. Like I had, oh my God.
Yeah, we've all been there, don't worry.
Wicked craving for biscuits. But it's not best for the baby because you're looking at, again, they're still developing and forming. And
what's really lovely about what you're saying is you have this crazy connection to the baby while you're pregnant. And a lot of women miss that immediately once the bump goes. But actually, if you think of your breast milk, you're still having that intense connection.
Yeah. And then when you're looking at the breast milk being that life source for the baby, it's full of everything that baby needs to grow and thrive, then you're looking at avoiding anything that's sort of I would say contraindication. So any junk food, anything where the risk of toxicity is likely to be passed on through the breast milk, because you can develop food poisoning, for example. You can't breastfeed with that. Okay. So that's really important. It's a really simple thing. So what to avoid.
School of thought going that
it's
you
the
had
same
in pregnancy.
Principles. Yeah, and same principles.
Let's talk about caffeine, because I know,
let's talk about caffeine. Yeah,
you're exhausted.
Yeah,
I mean, it's the one time in my life that I've never needed caffeine more, and then I'm being told that I can't have as much.
So energy, okay.
So is 200 mg okay when you're breastfeeding, or should you actually just try to eliminate it?
That's a really good question, and this is where you'll get such varied advice. And I say this: moderation is key, because again, we don't want to develop that sort of guilt shaming around food. Because if you need to have a cup, like I start my day with a cup, if you need to have a cup of coffee, fine. But this is what I would say: make sure, again, going back to the quality of the coffee, that they're finding out now that there's potential mold in coffee. So making sure that you're getting the highest grain coffee bean that you can get is super important. So organic, important. And then I say you can still get the caffeine hit through roasted chicory or roasted barley, right? Okay. There's a drink there. I'll give you the information for that. You can post it on there. There's a drink that you still get the taste and the flavor and the hit of caffeine, but there's no caffeine, because again, the caffeine is filtered through the breast milk into the baby, and then they're getting the caffeine as well, and the heart rate is increased, breathing is increased. They're not able to filter it out of their system.
So what's your caffeine intake if you really need it, both for quality and try alternatives?
And I would say drink a lot of water after, because again, it's a diuretic. So you drink a lot of water again after to make sure that you're flushing that out of your system and you're maintaining the hydration. So that's really, really important there.
And second question around this. Can certain foods make the baby gassy? So babies have a lot of wind at the start. You see them struggling. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's really hard.
Colic, yes, if you have a baby with colic, it's really difficult those first few months and weeks. Can the foods you're eating actually make the baby more bloated and windy?
Yes. So we tend to say things like spicy foods, for example. That's a common one. But again, like we said in the beginning, we're all biologically different. Yes. And so different babies, so some people may have underlying intolerances, maybe the baby develops that as well. So it's really important to be aware, just be smart around what you're eating and have that connection to your baby. So if there's a particular food that you like that your baby is not responding well to, maybe they develop a rash, or they're irritable, or they're not feeding properly, or like you said, the gas, for example, right? Best thing to do is just to avoid that food. And so some simple foods, like I still can't have fish, because Vivi just hated that fish. Right? I had to cut that out of my diet because her body did not tolerate that. It wasn't
reacting well.
Exactly. So looking at what your baby is responding to and eliminating it if they're not tolerating that is just the best way forward. And I think it's different for everybody. There's no, well, these foods are going to cause colic. I think it's really different for everybody, because we all eat differently.
Absolutely. And we're all structured differently and built differently.
Exactly.
Perfect. So that I think really, really helps with the whole topic of breastfeeding and just puts hopefully a lot of minds to rest about what they're eating. Go back to that healthy list and go back to water. Water.
Have water, flavored water. And then I think also with like energy, and because again, you're consuming more and you need to have more energy to produce the breast milk. What I really like is having like, you know, the raw energy balls.
Yes.
Right. So I think that's a really good way to get like a little vitamin hit. So I put like everything in my energy balls. So like dark chocolate, raw cacao seeds, oats, quinoa flakes, millet flakes, chia seeds. Did I say dark chocolate?
You said dark chocolate.
I said
we can have it twice though.
You can put goji berries in there,
Yep.
dry cranberries, prunes, raisins, sunflower seeds, Brazil nuts, raw cacao powder. You can put your spirulina, which is good for breast milk supply, your cholera powder, which is good for breast milk supply as well. And you don't need to have any, you don't need to add any sugar. You can put coconut flakes in there. You can get this much into the energy balls.
And these are sometimes called like lactation bites, or there's so many little things you can buy, but actually it's just something
you
that
don't
you
need
can
to
make
buy
at
it.
home.
Like, and it's good for you to have time away from the baby as well to prepare, because like sometimes like some people feel smothered, like they've lost themselves.
Yeah.
If you take that time away to just spend, it literally takes 15 minutes. It does not. I do this all the time. Like 15 minutes in the kitchen. Get your food processor, whip everything in there. Add a tablespoon of coconut oil just to bind it together.
Yeah.
And then you can just spend your time. It's so relaxing and therapeutic, just like literally like rolling the balls and like having them there.
And a great breakfast, great
snack right there. And then you've
hungry.
hit your vitamins and everything. You've gotten the extra, like there's protein, there's prebiotics, there's probiotics, there's healthy fats in there, there's carbs, there's everything you need. And it helps with the milk supply.
Perfect.
So that's a nice little handy thing to have there around the house.
Brilliant. I will be making those lactation
it's really good,
for sure.
Thank you so much for taking part in today's video, and if you enjoyed it, then please do give us a follow on any of our social channels. So you can follow us on Facebook, you can follow us on YouTube, or you can follow us on Instagram, where we are constantly uploading loads of useful content to support you on your wellness journey. See you in your next workout.